I'm a man. I'm 40.
Well, I'm the best corner in the game. When you try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're going to get.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
If you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
I mean, listen, we talking about practice.
Back like we never, ever left in the first place. AWR Podcast, best on the earth place. I screwed that up. Welcome, everybody, to the next edition of the AWR Are We Recording podcast. Sorry we missed you guys on Tuesday. We all had a meeting. We all had interviews with ESPN to be on their newest reporters, I guess. I don't know. I'm Brian, as usual, here from St. Louis, and I'm here with a bunch of my friends, the usual crew. Chris, 1.0, how are we?
Pretty good. I'm watching the beginning of the Steve Dyke era for Golden State right now.
Is he suited up? Is he?
Yeah,
I didn't see him.
He's in the game right now, actually.
Oh, is he? Okay. Well, hey, good for him. Good for the Warriors. Brad, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Just watching some basketball tonight. Looking forward to the UFC pay-per-view this weekend. Should be a pretty good fight. Ronda Rousey's undefeated, so.
Ryan, yet again, surprising me with Nebraska's internet connection.
We are still here.
That's good.
I mean, the internet's fine. Don't be afraid to come visit Nebraska. You'll have a strong connection. You're gonna be just fine.
That's surprising.
The internet, or just you guys?
You'll have a strong connection with the people, the strong connection on your Wi-Fi. It's all good here.
But I don't really know much about corn, so what can we really talk about?
They call it the good life for a reason, guys.
Do they call it Nebraska the good life?
I've never heard that before in my entire life.
That's the state slogan. They're actually trying to change it. I hope they do not change it.
I hope they do, just for honesty's sake. Josh, coming to you live with a towel on his head.
Cam Newton style. I'm doing great. I want to give a shout out to your favorite player, LeBron James. He did not watch the dunk contest, but he actually watched Florida beat Kentucky.
Because he probably couldn't because he was rolling on the floor because he had a bloody nose.
Sticking his nose.
Watch anything.
Yeah. Apparently TNT wasn't working. He said so.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Shout out to LeBron.
We're going to try a new thing this week. It's going to be called What We Recorded. I know the puns in here are incredible. But before we get to that, it's the latest edition of Brian's Bad Jokes. Only one this week. Guys, I had a question for you. Who won the gold medal in the men's skiing giant slalom on Thursday night? Who was that?
Ted Ligety.
Ted Ligety? Well, he seemed to make it down the mountain lickety split, so that's probably how he won. That's probably how he won the medal. Okay, well, now that that's over and done with, and you guys are fully involved and entertained, we're going to try this new thing. It's called, like I said, What We Recorded This Week, or this weekend, or whatever. Basically, it's like, what are we watching in sports, or what are we paying attention to? Just a quick little thing to add some personality to us. I'd like to give my segment dedicated to the trade deadline. It just passed earlier today on Thursday. To say it was very anticlimactic would be an understatement. Evan Turner for Danny Granger is the biggest one. I don't really think it moves the needle that much for the Pacers. I think it may help, but Turner's not much of a defender, but maybe once he gets there, he'll have to defend or not play. So who knows? Who knows how that'll go down? But I'd just like to say big shout-out to all the NBA GMs who were scared to pull the trigger on absolutely anything today. Brad, would you like to go next?
Oh, sure, yeah. I thought we were doing this earlier. So the UFC pay-per-view, Ronda Rousey and Sarah McMahon, they both were judo medalists in the Olympics. And then Daniel Cormier, undefeated fighter, makes his debut at light heavyweight against some dude he used to wrestle with that apparently used to make him cry in practice. So some good narratives there.
Well, Josh, what do we got? What are we recording for you?
Well, first off, we got a little UNC beating Duke. Shout out to my pick, UNC beating Duke. But I like what Braves were doing earlier this week. They locked up a lot of their young players. They had Julio Teheran, 6 years today, Craig Kimbrell for 4 years, Freddie Freeman for 8 years, and their biggest contract in their history. And Jelton Simmons, 7 years today. So I like what they're doing. They're keeping their core guys together, and hopefully they can compete for a World Series eventually.
Quick question on that before we get to other people, and quick answer as well. Are you what are they doing with Hayward? Is he just waiting, or what's the deal with that?
He has a 2-year deal. I don't know if he might have signed a 2-year. Is it a 2-year
I heard
deal?
that they're trying to re-sign him for a longer deal, but they might wait out his current contract on that. But I agree with Josh there because I'm a Braves fan too. Nice to see them locking up their young stars and keep him in the fold rather than losing him to the Yankees, as it usually seems to happen when they get a young guy.
Ryan, well, that's a perfect segue. Then if you just keep on going with what you recorded.
What I recorded is Nebraska bursting onto the NCAA tournament scene. Yeah, it's very strange for me to reference Nebraska on a podcast.
Are you? And you know what? I've always wondered this. Are you? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I've always wondered this. Are you a Nebraska fan?
Mildly. I watch a couple games here and there. I really don't get too much into it.
Okay.
But yes, I am strictly on bubble watch for Nebraska right now. They won tonight against Penn State, which is, some people would say ho-hum, but they took care of business, which is something they haven't done in years past when they've been on the bubble watch. They are currently sitting at 15-10 overall, 7-6 in conference, their first time over 500 since joining the Big Ten. Their RPI sits at 51, their Ken Pom at 59. They have 3 top 50 RPI wins and only 3 losses outside of the top 50 RPI. They've got 5 games left, the biggest one being the last one at home against Wisconsin. If they win that game and they go and win a game in the tournament, in the Big Ten tournament, going to be really hard to keep them out of the NCAA tournament. Even with Minnesota, it's going to be Nebraska, Minnesota probably for the last Big Ten team that gets in there. Obviously, I'm hoping it's Nebraska. Even if they don't make the tournament, still a great season for Nebraska. We'll be happy with the NIT, and we'll get it back in there next year. But really fun to see a Nebraska team go out there and make some national waves.
Big shout out to Nebraska ball. Last but not least, Chris, what did your recording come up with for this week?
My recording is not even going to leave Ryan's home state, and it's going to be Doug McDermott, who has passed Larry Bird, Otis Birdsong, Tyler Hansbrough, and Elvin Hayes this week, and he might get Alfred Hughes this weekend as they go up against Seton Hall at home. And as we all know, Seton Hall is not a very good basketball team. He has 6 games left at least, depending on, that would be if they go one and done in the Big East tournament and NCAA tournament. In his quest to get over 3,000 career points, he's about 112 away from that right now, so it looks like he will probably do that.
Big shout out to him. I'm a big I like Dougie. I hope he goes to a cool team.
I may be a Jacist, but I will appreciate what Doug McDermott's doing.
Big shout out, Dougie. Okay, well, last week we talked a lot. We did an entire special, blowout special for All-Star Weekend, and it is my favorite day. All-Star Saturday night is my favorite day of the calendar year every year, and it's safe to say that I was a little disappointed. When you have the judges, commentators, and participants all thinking they had one more dunk to do, and then it was just over, you probably did something wrong. I just want to throw that out there. Anybody else? What else has everybody got to say on that before I jump back in?
I feel like they should have done, like, if they wanted to do the team thing, which seemed kind of weird anyway, they should have done the team thing for the dunk contest kind of like they did for the three-point contest and have everybody go individually and then just take the best scores and have the teams win that way and not just go, everybody has a minute, you guys dunk at the same time, because that just seemed like it was kind of not necessarily chaotic, but just there was a couple
clusterfuck.
it kind of seemed like there were a few cool dunks that they had really bad camera angles for because they were trying to focus on something else.
I'm with you on that. Brad?
I mean, I thought the whole thing was just disappointing. 3-point contest is probably the most exciting with, Bellinelli. He missed like his first. He went like 1 for 7 that first round, and then the money balls really brought him back into it. But the dunk contest was just an abortion. I mean, there's 2 good dunks, and even that. I mean, John Wall's dunk was pretty sick, but just wasn't a whole lot of entertainment there for me.
Yeah, I thought what summed it up best was the 3 dunk contest winners trying to hold the trophy. They couldn't even get a coherent picture because it was so awkward with who was holding the trophy. That just pretty much summed it up for me. It was pretty. I didn't like the team idea. I thought Damian Lillard's between the leg dunk didn't get enough love. I like that a lot. I almost like that better than John Wall's because I don't know, maybe his size, and it didn't go down as cleanly, so people wouldn't have looked at it as highly. But I thought that was an underrated dunk. But that John Wall dunk at the end was pretty sweet.
Just being a casual observer of All-Star Weekend or All-Star Saturday, I don't pay too much attention to any All-Star events for any of the sports, but I was flipping between that and Florida, Kentucky, so to jump back and forth between the two, and you kind of had to readjust yourself and like maybe follow along on Twitter too, so you knew what was going on, even for other events outside the dunk contest, because I just think everything was really poorly explained. I don't think anyone really knew how this was going to work, which is, strike one. The people who are broadcasting the event should at least know how everything's going to work out so that they can, inform the viewer. And I think that was missed. And like most people have said, the team aspect of the dunk contest was not good. It was not. I don't think it was planned out very well. I think it would have worked better if they had gone with how they did with the 3-point contest, with everyone going individually and then just taking, kind of each sides and pairing them up. But other than that, I mean, the dunk contest was how it has been for the past couple of years. It was a couple oohs and ahs, but nothing really to write home about. Yeah, it just was underwhelming as a whole. There was not I just nothing as a person who just tunes in to see a couple cool things. Nothing that I really thought was really jumped out at me. Nothing that really wanted me to keep on the channel, because when UF Kentucky would come back, I'd go right back to that game because that's what I wanted to see.
I just don't think that. I don't know why they decided to make it this just nonsense. I mean, people can say that the dunk contest was broken, but if you think it was broken before, they just broke it even more. Like that was just really bad.
Yeah, it was a Band-Aid on a bullet hole.
Yeah, and you know what? It was like, and I mean, I might be in the minority here just because I love the dunk contest and everything that it stands for, but I mean, I don't know why they had to. It's not about a team thing. The All-Star Weekend is about the individual. Like that's what the point of the whole thing is. Like the skills competition was the shooting stars, super exciting. Bosch hit those 2 quick half-court shots. That was great. They repeated as champs. You could tell they wanted to. The skills competition came down to a decimal. It came down to 1 second or 0.1 seconds. That was an exciting ass finish. And then the 3-point contest went in overtime. That was great. And then all the night was amazing. And then the main event, the primetime event, they had to go mess with it, and nobody understood what was going on. And another thing is just these guys. I don't know how necessarily they fix it. I have one idea, but these guys need to start making their dunks the first time, on the first try, because that just literally sucks the air and the energy out of the building when they miss it. Like the only time the crowd got super hyped was John Wall's, and it probably was the best dunk of the night, but he also made it in his first try, which didn't suck the energy out because it wasn't that complicated of a dunk. And my only thought on how to fix that is maybe just tell these guys, say the contestants a month before instead of 2 weeks before. Give these guys actual time to practice these dunks, because I mean these are NBA players. They don't practice dunks. They practice their game. So if you give these guys a month instead of 2 weeks, they'll have time to practice their dunks and they'll make it on the first try. Maybe maybe am I crazy with that? With thinking that?
I think you have a valid point there, because I think that if I don't think people are, in the gym working on dunks thinking, I might be in the dunk contest this year, especially when they come in with a couple guys who are not under the radar, but just not prominent players in the NBA. The one thing I have to say is, does anyone really think that All-Star Saturday is just, I've watched it the past couple of years, and it just seems super anticlimactic to me. Like, they do the dunk contest, and then it goes to voting, and then we're done. Like, that's it. Like, it just seems like there could be a better way to kind of wrap it all up nice and rather than how they do it. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks that way. Maybe, most people tune out as soon as like the voting. I don't know. To me, it just seems like there's really no build up to who the world winner is, or like, I don't know. It just seems really like just done at that point.
Chris, you had a.
I guess I'll respond to that first. The one thing that's hard with that is if you want the audience to participate in deciding the winner, there is going to be that delay, and it's something that they're pretty much just going to have to decide if they want that or if they want only judges to decide, which that seemed like it was working too, where just the judges voted immediately and that was the winner, and they did that for years, and that didn't seem like there was that much of a problem with that. And then the other thing I kind of wanted to touch on with what Brian said with you have to make dunks on your first attempt. That's great and all, except if you're going to do that, you might get contestants to kind of play it safe and not try something crazy, and that just leads to, like, would you rather see a boring dunk made on the first try, or would you rather see somebody try something crazy and maybe miss the first one and then make the second one? Like, which one would you rather see?
Okay, but was John Walls really that crazy? I mean, it was a great dunk, but he made it. I mean, that wasn't that like complicated. You don't have to be that complicated with it. You can just do something simple and get hyped and add a little like flair to it. I mean, the best dunks that have ever happened in a dunk contest aren't like the crazy, super complicated ones. They're like the simple, made it on the first try, had some power behind it, not just barely got it in the rim. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I kind of agree with what you're saying, that they won't try as crazier things, but it'll just be more. It'll look better if they're making it on their first ones, and the crowd can actually get into it instead of like the buzz builds, and then it's just he missed it, and now I know what's coming, and even when he makes it, I already know what's happening. It's not a surprise. Like, the shock factor is completely gone.
I was reading a Bill Simmons article the other day. It was actually his worst contracts article, but he had a small little piece about how he would fix the dunk contest, and I think it's a pretty great idea. It's 12 contestants. You get 12 dunks.
Like one dunk a person?
Yeah. There's 9 NBA players, 2 D-leaguers, and 1 street baller. And he even said a great name for it could be the Bud Light 12-pack contest. And you get your advertisement right there, your commercialization of it. But, I mean, the D-League contest, I saw a Vine or something, and they're winning dunks for. I mean, the crowd was more hyped, and the dunks looked a lot better. And the street ballers, I mean, there's that Kenny something. I don't know if any of you guys know, but
I know what you're talking about.
Crazy stuff. So
he looks like Josh Boone.
Yeah, I think if you bring in, I mean, just any sort of new blood, anything other than what they've been doing, they keep trying to reinvent it by making it more complicated. And I think the idea of the dunks itself would be simplified with Bill's idea, but just bringing in different talent, maybe. So I don't know.
The only problem I have with that is there's 0% chance that the NBA is going to have stars. No star will ever want to do it if they do it like that. They won't ever want to participate because, like, Paul George the NBA does not want Paul George, their next big marketed star, to get shown up in a dunk contest by some dude who can't even make the D League. That's all I'm saying. I like the idea, but it's completely unrealistic.
The only way we can do that is if Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a feature in a commercial for the dunk contest for Bud Light. So playing ping pong.
I would actually like to see if Arnold can get up there and throw it down. You know, another thing I just thought of. My friend of mine always would joke about this when we'd be shooting around in like an empty gym or something, and he would say like, you should just like, he's talking about like me. He's like, you'd always say like, you should try to do a windmill right now. I would just try it. And I mean, I could barely jump over a phone book. I don't know. I think it'd be funny to just see like terrible dunkers go up there and try to like touch the rim and like watch them completely fail in trying to do like a windmill. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I think that would be pretty funny.
I have one last point to make, and then we'll probably move on here. Is I guess I never really saw the dunk contest in its heyday. Even the Vince Carter dunk contest, I didn't see.
Google it.
I mean, I've seen the dunks, but I didn't see it live. But I really know of a good way to fix it at this point. Like, besides, you know, you kind of just have to blow up All-Star Weekend as a whole. Not get rid of it, but just kind of rethink it on the whole. No, not get rid of it. Just rethink it on the whole and reinvent the dunk contest somehow, because obviously the way they're doing it now is not working for the hardcore fans, and for the casual fans, it's not captivating the audience anymore. So, they have to do something different beyond, just, well, we're going to do a team aspect or something like that. They have to think of a new format or something. I guess I really don't have any good idea on what to do, but there's something missing at this point. I think we can all agree on that. And something has to be added or removed, or whether it's attracting bigger names or finally getting LeBron James in there, not meaning to rhyme. Something has to be done to kind of save the dunk contest from being just a nice cap to an okay day.
Josh, you have one more thing to say, and then we're going to move on from this.
Yeah, I mean, I just agree with you guys. I don't know what would be the best way to fix it all, but I agree with the nailing the dunk on the first try is huge. That gets the crowd going. The whole waiting is just terrible. It takes away from scoring and all that, but I like the Bill Simmons idea. Maybe go with it.
Just it'll never happen. It'll literally
never happen. It's good in theory, but the NBA will never do it.
Okay, so speaking of something missing, we're going to now move on to the combine, where most quarterbacks no longer throw, which seems like that kind of defeats the purpose of quarterbacks even being invited. They all wait until their pro days, or in some cases they just don't throw. And that's kind of a bummer, because I think the person that I was kind of looking forward to seeing how he can kind of, at this point, salvage this draft stock is possibly the top pick would be Teddy Bridgewater. And since he probably won't throw in Indianapolis, I guess somebody else I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how he does, again, to salvage it, or maybe even get drafted, would be Colt Lyella of Oregon, who has all the talent in the world and also kind of a drug problem.
Like what kind of a drug problem?
Cocaine.
Oh.
I didn't think there was that big of a cocaine market in Eugene, but apparently he found it.
You got to tap yourself into that, man. What are you doing? I need a coke guy up in Oregon.
I mean, I know that there's weed all over the place, but...
Do you firsthand know that?
I don't know that firsthand, but I do know of a bunch of people.
I actually know a girl who moved to Oregon to like be a weed clipper, like to clip the buds off the plants. I met her in Atlantic City. Big shout out. I don't even remember her name actually. She's probably not listening.
Anyway, speaking of Colt Lyella, I'd like to see the Packers who would take a flyer on him real late, like definitely maybe 6th or 7th round. I mean, he has first round talent, but he like dropped out of school and the drugs and all that and quit the team. So I think if you could get him late, maybe like a Aaron Hernandez type situation, hope it doesn't kill people. But I like to see Green Bay pick him up. I'm looking forward.
I hope he does kill people, actually.
I mean, it was interesting, I guess. It made the offseason a little interesting.
I just like the fact that you add that it is a disclaimer, like, just hopefully he doesn't kill people. Like.
Well, it's NFL culture, right?
So are you anti-murder then? I just want to make this clear for the listeners, for the kids out there. You are okay. And everyone
on record, yeah.
I am pro-murder, but that's just probably because I'm from Chicago. But we're getting off a little
bang bang.
Yeah, I'm looking most forward to Jadeveon Clowney. I know it's not, real unsurprising pick, but He claims he's going to run a 4.4. The over-under is for him to run a 4.5 in Vegas, so, I mean, I don't think it's that unrealistic. Remember Javon Curse, the freak, ran, I think, a 4.4, and he was like 260 pounds. Clowney's a little bit bigger, so I want to see how he does at the Combine.
Did you hear Spurrier pretty much throwing his boy under the bus?
Yeah, but I mean, I think he's right. I think it was obvious that he didn't give a shit. And he just, he went through the motions. Definitely on the field his senior year.
That's true. It's just surprising to hear Spurrier throw him under the bus like that.
Spurrier he doesn't give a shit.
It's not. I guess it's not really
man.
surprising because that's the kind of the Spurrier move is to do that. Spurrier doesn't mess around. He'll tell it like it is. Looking at the Combine. For players I'm watching, I'm focusing on receivers because the Chiefs need to draft receivers. So I'm looking at guys like Kelvin Benjamin, Odell Beckham Jr., Allen Robinson. I think any of those three receivers would make a fine addition to Kansas City's roster, with Kelvin Benjamin being the guy I'm most coveting. Allen Robinson, he's kind of a edge first-round, second-round guy. The Chiefs obviously don't pick in the second round, but if he slips for some reason, or the Chiefs trade up or anything like that, getting those two guys would be awesome. And then a little Homer shout-out pick to Stanley Jean-Baptiste at the Combine. If you guys don't know, if he's a corner out of Nebraska.
Yeah, I was just about to say, just clarify for everyone.
Yes, he is a Nebraska Cornhusker, but he's only been playing corner for like 2 years, and he's at the Combine, and this guy would be a great addition to any NFL roster, I think. Just great. He reads the ball like a receiver because he was a receiver before, and it's just fantastic some of the plays he makes at cornerback. And whoever drafts him is going to get a great player. So I just want to give a little shout out to SJB, little Husker love.
If we're gonna just do a Homer shout out, I'd just like to real quick just say if the Bears draft one single offensive player, I will just be super upset because the offense is fine. Draft 7 defensive guys, and hopefully you hit on like 3 of them. But that's besides the point. That's for another day. I'm really, and this may preclude. I have no idea what word I'm going for here, but back to the article I wrote on the Are We Recording blog.wordpress.com. I wrote an article about quick plug. I wrote an article about Johnny Manziel, and basically what this guy went through the summer of hell last year, and it mostly had to do with the fact that he just wouldn't shut his mouth a lot of the times.
Self-imposed.
And he went out of his way to basically talk himself up. I just didn't really understand that. So now if he didn't have anything to prove before, after he didn't have enough pressure on him before to succeed, now after talking himself up and this and that and just doing his Johnny football thing, he needs to perform even better. And he's not throwing. Somebody mentioned earlier.
He's not throwing at the Combine.
He's not throwing. Okay, well, that kind of brings me to my next point about the Combine. Before we get to Josh's player to look at, especially for quarterbacks, I think the throwing in the Combine is super duper not important.
What do you mean? You mean those defenders aren't playing great D out there?
No. What I'm saying is he's well, I mean, quarterbacks are the difference between a practice quarterback and a game quarterback is that's one position where literally the guy can be a different person on Sunday than he is on the practice field. So I don't really necessarily think that it's that important that he throws at the Combine. It's more for how he moves and how he looks health-wise. I think that's the biggest thing I'm looking forward to seeing from him because, regardless of if he throws or not, I don't think his throws in an empty gym with shorts and T-shirts on really matters that much to me. I don't know.
I just want to have a quick point before Josh gives his player to watch at the Combine. You talked about Johnny Football and his, his inability to shut his mouth sometimes, he flat out went out and said in no uncertain terms that if the Texans do not draft him number 1 overall, it'll be the biggest mistake in the franchise's young history. And that it will turn. And he gave the quote of the century. I can't remember which came first, but he said it will turn the chip on his shoulder from a Frito to a Dorito. Yeah,
that was great.
That's a great quote. Oh
that's
my
an
god!
Awesome line.
Shout out to Frito-Lay Corp. They need to sign him up.
Is that has to be a rap lyric? I didn't Google this before, but there's no way that a rapper has not
That's
said
hilarious.
that.
Drake probably told him to say it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
Drake
a
probably
Drake
did
line.
come up
That's
with
a
that.
Drake line.
His boy. Shout out OVO.
All right, Josh.
Yeah, some players I got. First off, I kind of have a little segment, just a little thing to say about the combine. I don't put too much value into it. I kind of relate it today. Bill Belichick was talking about the combine. He said the most important thing he looks into is the players' medical evaluation. So, I don't know. You have Bill Belichick, one of the best coaches, just talking about seeing if the players are healthy and how their medical evaluations are. I don't know. There's not too much to learn from a 40 time and running around cones. So, I don't put too much value into it, but some players I would look out for.
Wait, hold on. Before you go, I'd just like to say that
Yeah.
I think that is position based. I think that some guys that kind of stuff does matter. Like I think a linebacker, like a middle linebacker's
True.
ability to drop
Yeah.
back in coverage, you can kind of measure that, like his hip fluidity and stuff, and like safeties and corners, like that kind of stuff. I think you can get that information from like the cone drill and the shuttle drill and stuff. But
I agree with you. There are some like tweener positions where it'll put them over the edge compared to others, like a linebacker, or maybe getting some freak athlete at a strange position where it kind of blows you and gives you a little look at them and like, oh wow, maybe take a look at this athlete here. But
like I don't mean to hog your spotlight right now, but like I think that offensive lineman running the 40 time is literally the most pointless thing that you could possibly like. That is just the biggest waste of time in the entire. When is an offensive lineman ever going to move 40 yards in his career?
Blocking, bro.
In his career.
Downfield
blocking is like 3 yards at a time.
You should do something about how quick they can get out of their stance and get 10 yards. Do they do that?
I think they do, don't they?
I
don't really watch the combine, so
Yeah, I
I'm not
don't.
sure.
I read the results. And
I read the results. Exactly, I read the
40
results.
and verticals just to see if there's any freaks out there.
Yeah. All right, sorry,
Yeah.
Josh. You can go ahead
no,
with your.
good. I would like to say Florida's probably the best 4-8 team. They're sending 8 players to the combine, tied for 5th for any other university. So, best 4-8 team out there. 2 players though, I'm interested to see Bruce Ellington. I think he's projected at 2nd to 3rd round. He's 5'9". I don't know how well he's going to translate to the NFL. I don't think he'll translate too well, but I don't know. Maybe see how he does throughout this draft process. And another guy I'm interested, kind of a homer pick, is Dominique Easley. He was a top first-round pick coming out before he got his ACL injury, his knee injury, and now he's projected kind of the 1st to 3rd pick. But I think he was a monster this year, and he was an animal for Florida. So hopefully he gets his praise and gets his work done and comes back healthy and comes out strong for the NFL.
Yeah, just 2 quick homer picks here too, just because they've actually moved up to like first-round talent or fringe first-round talent. Christian Kirksey, linebacker from Iowa, and C.J. Fedorowicz. They both had big Senior Bowl weeks and Senior Bowl games. Kirksey is a very, very mobile outside linebacker, and Fedorowicz is like a 6'6", 265-pound tight end that he is a monster. Iowa didn't utilize him as much as they should have until really this year. I know the
Does
Patriots.
Iowa ever utilize anyone like they should, though? That's what.
The punter, dude, we punt the shit out of the ball. That's for sure.
Punting is winning.
But yeah, I've heard New England might look into Fedorowicz, but I don't know if that'd be 1st or 2nd round. Just thought I'd bring them up real quick.
What do you guys agree though with certain positions it matters, or am I just the crazy one here?
I think the NFL, the combine as a whole, is kind of becoming irrelevant, not totally irrelevant. With the advent of college football being on television all the time, always, and then you have most colleges do a pro day now. going to the combine isn't a big deal as it once was because most people have seen your game reel. They've seen you play live. They kind of have a good idea of what you're about. And unless you've been injured for the past year, or you're a guy who didn't get a ton of pub, or you're a guy that just kind of wants to silence some critics, the combine probably isn't going to be a big shining spotlight time for you. It's interesting to get some measurements. It's a nice little football fix, but other than that, I don't know if it's a big deal. If anyone else has the same feeling.
Yeah.
I guess I'll kind of agree with that. It also probably helps a little bit with situations. I know everybody's sick of the he didn't play football in college, he played basketball narrative, but it kind of helps those guys so that what they can and can't do on a football field, like the Julius Thomases. But other than that, I don't think it helps very many people at all.
But those guys aren't getting invited to the combine. Is kind of the problem. Those aren't you're still getting the big name athletes that most people see on at the combine. So that's kind of where it makes it irrelevant. That's where the pro days come in, and are relevant. But the combine kind of as a whole is becoming more irrelevant.
I feel like they're doing a little bit better job inviting just random people like that.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an event. It's not necessarily. It's not an event. The draft is an event. The combine necessarily isn't.
Didn't the Raiders draft somebody a few years ago in the second round that wasn't even invited to the combine, but not a basketball player type player? You said. Am I losing my mind here?
You might, but I can't remember it. If it happened, I wouldn't put it past Oakland. I'll put it that way. That sounds like something they would do.
Yeah, no, I think they're second round pick 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Aren't wasn't even invited to the. I don't know. Maybe I might have just made that up. Which wouldn't be surprising for me. Do you? Does anyone else have any points to make about the combine before we talk this subject in the ground?
Yeah, I just think it's people read into it too much, whether if someone has a big day or if they don't run as fast as 40 times they're projected. Like you said, the T-shirt and shorts doesn't necessarily produce on the field in the game. Russell Wilson's an example of that, but it's just something to kill time really on the off season and in February, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what draft is as big of a deal as it is because people it's the layover from the Super Bowl to the draft, really. And with the draft being pushed back, I don't know if you guys all know this, but the draft is in May this year because of, scheduling conflict, and then I think the NFL is discussing moving it to May from here on out, or at least for a couple of years. So I think that's why the combine has become as big of a deal as it is now. At least for NFL Network. Once NFL Network hit, the combine's on TV now. I think that's kind of where it's come from. Is it's a football layover, between the last big event of one season and the first big event of the next.
All right. Well, moving on to everyone's second favorite segment. Who you got? Let's kind of round up the records from the week before. What we got? None of us got not surprisingly, none of us got a single one of the All-Star Saturday night things right. Besides Ryan, the biggest basketball fan here, picked Damian Lillard to win the skills competition. So we're just going to kind of throw those games out of the window because
that sounds like a bad idea to me.
We're all not. Besides the actual game, which we'll get to in a second, those games we just might as well not kill our records like that. So to recap, Brad, Josh, and Chris on the block, who is not with us today, all picked the East correctly. Me, Ryan, and Chris obviously did not. The records stand as we speak at 4-7. Brad is at 7-3. New Chris on the block is at 8-2. Is that right? Well,
yeah.
8-2.
That's 4 minus 6.
Chris, you done? Chris 1.0 is 5-4 or 5-5. Josh is 7-3. Ryan is 6-4. 5. You know what? Those records are probably all wrong. I'm terrible at math, so we're going to have to go through it next week. You can check the website, ROeRecordingBlog.wordpress.com.
That's going to be a clean wipe next week. We're just
For
gonna
the real records.
throw everything out.
Because we also have to add that Duke North Carolina game that got postponed.
Which who also picked right. This
Yeah.
And you, I like it.
All right, so let's get into the picks. Big hockey game tomorrow. Well, today, as of when this will be out. USA Canada for the rights to Justin Bieber. Let's go through.
I saw that billboard.
Let's go through the picks. Ryan, you started out. You start us off, big guy.
USA, USA, USA.
All right. America, Chris?
I'm going to say that USA's defense and goaltending will win the game for them.
Bradley.
I got America. Fuck yeah.
Okay.
Get the censors in.
Joshua.
I know nothing about hockey, and I'm tempted to pick Canada to be a communist right now. Give me USA, I guess. Whatever. Give me USA.
Oh, say, can you see USA?
That is
right.
terribly off key.
Yeah, no, I screwed that. I realized I screwed that up. About that fourth note, I really was off.
I think
on
you
that.
started out with "Oh Canada" and then switched it up on us there.
I was when I worked today. This is probably gonna sound really stupid listening back to the recording, but I was at work today and the USA Canada team game was going on.
The
women's game. And after Canada won, they were playing the Canadian anthem. Literally, that dumb, stupid song was stuck in my head for the rest of my shift. The entire shift, I was walking around the back to the kitchen. Oh, Canada, and then I was
the next line?
God,
you know
no.
the next.
Does anyone?
I do. I can sing it.
Don't.
I'm not. It's gonna be a bad jinx. I'll sing.
Sidney Crosby's a dickhead too.
All right.
Good analysis.
All right. We got Syracuse coming down to Raleigh, face Duke this weekend. Huge game. I'm taking Duke. This is a simple pick. This is about as easy as UNC beating Duke. So Duke for me.
I got Duke as well.
I'll take Syracuse. They're probably a little mad after losing to Boston College, so they're probably going to want to. They don't have to necessarily prove anything, but they're probably going to want to prove a little something after losing to a terrible Boston College team. So I'll take the orange.
OG.
I'm going to say that Syracuse bounces back.
Hopefully not in the same uniforms.
If the last 2 days, God, those were off. What the hell was that?
I like it. I like the tops.
It's the orange together. You can't do that.
Yeah,
you gotta wear all orange or all blue.
You know what? If the last 2 days didn't happen, my pick would be different. If Syracuse was still undefeated, I was gonna pick Duke. But then they lost, and then Duke lost today to North Carolina. So that if they won, I would have picked Duke. But now, because of those last two things happening, I'm gonna switch it up. I'm going. Big Orange win. Big Orange win on Saturday. Or whatever day it is. Big Orange win. Hopefully they are wearing orange as well, like all orange.
Not the moldy orange jerseys?
They should. They're on the road. They got to wear orange.
Brad, I'll let you introduce the next one because your current alma mater is unfortunately involved.
Yeah, we got Wisconsin coming to Iowa. Definitely going to take the Hawkeyes on this one. We've been playing some pretty good ball the last couple of games. Indiana was too scared to play us, so they tore the roof up on Tuesday. But it's whatever. We're gonna take out the Badgers. So, what do you got?
I'll go next on this one. I will take. This is probably no surprise to anyone, but I think that they are going to jump around all over your weak-ass Hawkeyes and take the victory. We're coming back to Wisconsin, and we're taking the entire state of Iowa with us. You're not even going to have a state when we're done. We're literally going to take the state back to Wisconsin with us. You're going to be sitting in the middle of nowhere. Like, the map after Saturday is just going to be black in that spot because the state is going to be gone.
What are you talking about?
No, I mean literally, no. Nowhere is in the literal sense of the word nowhere. There is going to be nothing there. Go Badgers.
I'll take on Wisconsin on this one, just so that when Nebraska beats the Badgers on the last day of the season, makes the RPI look a little bit better. Makes
time out, Ryan.
Tournament resume look a little better.
This hasn't been established yet. Do you like Nebraska?
I do.
All right. That's we had to end it on that one. Chris, you're next.
I guess I'll go with Iowa at home.
Oh, that's a dumbass pick.
Yes. What's the spread on that game? Anybody know?
Wisconsin's favored by like 1 billion.
Is that right?
No, I think that's right. That was on Bovada.
Oh, well, yeah, it must be then. I'll take Iowa to cover that. It's 1 billion, right?
Oh. Wow.
I'm going with the winners, which will be Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But
See?
I think that's gonna be a good game.
Iowa wins by 8+.
Good as in good for the Wisconsin fans who made the trip.
That's
Give
2
Wisconsin
losses.
8 points. I'll take it.
That's 2 losses for Brad, though, right? If if Iowa loses and then they they don't cover 8, that's got to be -2 for him, though.
8 or 8 billion? Which one is it?
Just 8. I think 8 is more likely.
Next game, Ryan's Oklahoma City Thunder versus my future LA Lob City Clippers. I'm going to go with the Clippers.
I'll take OKC on this one.
Give me LA.
Anybody know what day this is? What is it?
It's
Sunday.
Sunday. It's the showcase.
Sunday showcase.
Sunday. OG, take this right now.
I think I'll go with Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City. Give me OKC rebounding, winning. I guess.
You guys are dumb.
Give me OKC. I guess.
Never take the road team in an afternoon game in Los Angeles.
Sorry about it.
And then
Because there's so much atmosphere there.
no, well, what I'm saying
Miami,
is
bro.
they're going to be out the night before. At least
you-
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Do you want one more Husker shout-out?
No.
No.
Okay, then I'm not going to say it.
All right, and last but not least, Rockets versus the resurgent, surprising Coach of the Year candidate, Jeff Hornacek-led Phoenix Suns. I got
Who
the
you got,
Rockets.
buddy?
Rockets.
I got the Rockets too.
Fuck it,
take-
give me the Suns.
YOLO,
Okay,
right?
I'm
Yeah.
saying I'm taking the Suns too. I just have a feeling. It's a
I'm
terrible
gonna
one, but I
take-
have it.
Rockets are, I think, on a 6-7 game winning streak. May potentially lose tonight against Golden State, but give me Rockets against the Suns, I guess.
All right. Well, that was an
All
airball
right,
by Steph
all
Curry.
right.
And we are all completed. That was your latest episode of the Are We Recording podcast. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at AWR Podcast. A lot of good stuff up on the website, arewerecordingblog.wordpress.com. Be sure to check that out. We will have this posted for you tomorrow morning, probably right around the time that the USA-Canada game is going on, right? I don't know. Maybe I might be wrong about that.
Usually they go up at 10 o'clock Central, so about an hour before that.
Okay, so you'll be able to get your fixing in before you enjoy some USA hockey. Thanks for listening. Be sure to come check us out. We will be back on our normal schedule Tuesday and Friday next week. And for the rest of the Joe Schmoes in here, this was Patty Smalls signing off. And go Cubs.
And go Huskers.